Andrew Jack can be Mr. Olympia.
What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So let's start this video with none other than the former Mr Olympia, Brandon Curry, that guy who has never been outside of that top 4 ever since Mr Olympia 2019. But the thing is, you won't find him in any discussion of this year's potential Olympia top 4. In fact, many do not even have him in the top 6, even after Nick Walker dropping out of the race. So Brandon finally made it to Las Vegas today, and it was a chess day for him. So that one variable that has made Brandon extremely vulnerable for this year's Miss Olympia is the length of his Olympia prep for this year. Just last year, he looked so great at 3 weeks out, and who knows, he could have placed better than 4th if he did not end up in the hospital just 2 days before the men's open bodybuilding prejudging. So this argument that he is over 40 years old, I have to say that's not valid at all. I mean, that guy is just 1 year older. And considering that he did not have any injury whatsoever this year, there is every possibility for him to duplicate his last year's look, or maybe something even better than that. And yes, I know the younger guys, like Hunter Labrada, like Martin Fitzpatrick, like Rafael Brundle, these guys are definitely catching up on Brandon, since all of these guys are very young, very hungry, and very motivated as well. And the fact that they are all in their primes, and all of them can push things to an extent where Brandon just cannot now. But that being said, Brandon has never been truly shredded ever since 2019, and he has a new coach this year. So maybe they're trying something different. So what do you guys think? Will Brandon make top 5 at this year's Miss Olympia?
And this past year in Texas was the first time that I said Andrew Jack can be Mr. Olympia.
So we do not want to put too much pressure on Andrew Jack, but when everyone keeps mentioning him as a serious threat to this year's Olympia title even in 2024, we have to cover that. So he was being talked about on the Olympia TV by Tariq El Guindi, who is an active IB Pro judge, and that statement was based on what we saw from Andrew at this past Texas Pro. And keep in mind, Andrew went into that show knowing that there is gonna be zero competition for him at that show. So he might have some new tricks up his sleeves for this year's Olympia prep.
He can be Mr. Olympia. He can win this year, okay? He can beat guys like Samson Dauda, like Hadi, Nick Walker, and Derek. But we needed to see him fill up the frame, and he did it in Texas.
So John D Rosa, who was the guest on the latest episode of the Cutler Cast, he specifically mentioned Andrew Jack and how crazy beautiful and pretty his physique is, and how damn aesthetic the man is, and how he is gonna destroy everyone in the front shots right from the get-go in that first call-out.
Andrew Jack, man, holy crap! What I mean,
Massive this year.
huge fan of his physique, so pretty.
He'll be the biggest guy in the show.
Yeah,
I think he'll just be bigger than Samson.
This is my opinion. I was hoping, and I said it several times to a few people, if the dude stayed on his diet and gets really peeled out of his mind, I think he could walk in here and win this thing.
Now, if anyone is expecting to see shredded glutes on Andrew Jack, then I have to say that isn't happening, because that just doesn't benefit him in any way. He needs to be big. He needs to be round and all full, just like we saw him at this year's Texas Pro. Maybe just a bit more tighter, because we saw what happened when Andrew got really shredded at last year's Arnold. He was in a great condition at that show, probably better than Texas Pro this year, but he kinda lost his wow factor. So wouldn't it be the biggest upset if 2 of these tall guys, Samson Dauda and Andrew Jack, they show up in the best shape of their lives and knock Hadi Choopan and Derek to 3rd and 4th? It probably won't happen, but we cannot rule out that possibility. The WesleyRamon rivalry is in full effect, and I have to say that is pretty fair, considering all the statements that Wesley has made, especially in the last couple of weeks, where he even went on to say that Ramon has no chance of beating him ever again. Now, if you look over the comment section under Wesley's any recent updates, you will find a lot of dinosaurs in there. So Terrence Griffin also became a victim of these dinosaurs just a few years back. But the thing is, Brazilians are very passionate about their athletes, so it is what it is. So the latest take on Wesley and his physique that was made by none other than Ramon's friend, a guy who has trained with Ramon many times, Marcelo aka Harsamdi, and describing Wesley's physique as a square. So this was pointed out by Mad Muscle Media, so all the credits to them. So this rivalry is taking a very interesting turn. And this is only the first year when Wesley and Ramon became so competitive against each other. So what do you guys think about Horse's comments about Wesley? Well, I'm gonna say honestly, Wesley's waist, that is definitely wider than both Ramon Dino and Chris Bumstead. But his physique isn't square by any means, especially this new and improved version that we saw first at this year's Arnold and what we are about to see at this year's Olympia in 4 days' time. Now I have to say a little back and forth trash talk that is so good for the sport, especially this close to the Olympia, when the engagement of the fans that is at its all-time high. So it seems like this battle is gonna be between Brazil and Netherlands. Next up, we have an update from Brett Wilkin, one of the first guys to have qualified for the Olympia 2025 by winning the Legion Sports, which happened just a couple of weeks back. So this is what you call a comeback. I mean spending an entire year to get ready for your Olympia debut, to dropping out of it just 6 weeks before the show because of some health concern, and losing a whole lot of muscle, to rebuilding that physique and show up at your personal best at this year's Legion Sports. I have to say true commitment. So how Brett would have done in this year's Olympia lineup? I don't think he is a top 10 guy just yet, because for whatever reason, the size that Brett was holding like 2 weeks before the show, he looked quite downsized compared to that on the stage. But he was in a phenomenal condition front to back, and he was a worthy winner. So his strategy going into 2025, that is gonna be the same as it was back in 2022. After he won the Big Man Weekend, he utilized the entire year to put on some quality muscle everywhere before he starts his Olympia prep for 2025. So I have to say his physique at this year's Legion Sports, that looked very polished, and that too from every angle. And this along with more size, that is all he needs, and he is gonna be a force to be reckoned with. So this could have been an even more exciting Mr Olympia if Michael Krizo, who was 7th at the Olympia last year, he was doing this show in 4 days' time. So how would Krizo have compared against all these new guys like Martin and also this new version of Rafael Brandao? Well, we are gonna have to wait 1 more year to see that happen. I have to say too many dropouts of this year's Mr Olympia, because statistically speaking, half of the top 10 from previous year, they are gonna miss out of this year's Olympia. And Krizo is definitely one of the biggest names out of all these guys after Nick Fokker. Now the good thing is that he has been training extremely well. Even when he wasn't training his upper body at all, due to the surgery, he was training his legs. And you guys can see that he has been able to maintain all the size that he had before. So Krizo will keep on making his strong points even stronger. But what he really needs is to break down his back workout routine, because that is the one thing that is really holding him back. I mean, he gets in that crazy good condition. He is the biggest freak out there, but he's gonna face much bigger challenges in terms of competition when he returns for the Arnold 2025 next year. So if he wants to do well, which I'm sure he does, he needs to bring up his back. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.